Abusuana Nana Kwame Badiako a free bra or money obvious to the whole Ghana. I'm a Ghana for you that you who say upper president D Queen of us within in common the way I will see a name any manifesto name or per se say to abanomana or Timmy Ediba. You know, if you say so to me, you to abanomana not so timber betana or minus on quadia. Ever boa Ghana for you now, no cranny. Ayana Ghana for the door now per se or Mokoswa, the Bia or Motin Nana Kwame Badiako enka a son Ninsama Aya Wakano. Nyensasema ayana efri ensem mu ba nim dia ewo mu ahugudra ode ekasa we kwan ofaso a odi ni nkoma otumi sa brante we ya brante bia Ghana yebetimi de ndache ene ye nisode hunu nyina ahye Nana Kwame Badiako ensa because kwan ofaso a opese odi ni dwumadie enema a opese oye ewo man ni mu 16 industrial regional revolution a opese odi eba eye oman Ghana we mu ene the 12 apostles the 12 pillars ene the 12 pillar to economical freedom sani ma we nyina niam Nana Kwame Badiako epese se Ghana for yeto abano e de mana odi eba betudwan ene wonya akonya kopim e wo seminar bi na odi ensem bi atudwa ensema Nana Kwame Badiako e de atudwa no seminu mienu nyina ye ni na ensese metena mekonya yiso na mekache okra na ansa na ye betwa e ho akohwe ensema Nana Kwame Badiako ekopim wo seminar na se odi atudwa no aha aye Ghnet TV so me sorry dey myself first time I watch me na subscribe e de amame oyu na like it so be sa amame dey na wasanso feel free say obeche wadwen so e de akam ho now ye ntwa e ho ne nkonkohwe ensema Nana Kwame Badiako wasanso e de atudwa sasem ene akukuduro nsama okan edi atuja enkuranhye nsama okan edi share Ghana for youth ni nyina enkuran se yento abano enfama no wabra ekopiem e wo samina biase ensama de atuja no mu ntwa ho simape ne nkuti emra.
Okay, let's leave your animals. Let's talk about you. Do you have a university degree?
I didn't finish university. Yeah.
Which university did you go to?
Westminster.
Were you rusticated? What happened? How come you left the school? Did you resign?
It was my own decision because, you know, I like the lectures and everything. You know, I was studying BA Hons and
in what?
Business administration.
Okay.
So I thought I was doing much better by doing my own business than sitting down and learning about how to get a job one day. That's one of the reasons why I took that decision.
And it worked for you?
Well, you know, there's certain decisions, Omaru, you're going to take in life. You become responsible for yourself. If you do well, it's for yourself. If you do bad, it's for yourself.
So this was at what age?
I was young. I was just before I turned 20.
You have 4 children, I've seen somewhere. Is that true?
Yeah.
If any of your children said to you they want to quit school, you let them be?
I don't think so. I don't think that I also had a father at that time that would say that, hey, son, you have to make it to the end. You have to acquire your degrees. I'm paying for your fees and all of that. You know, my father died in 1999, and around that time I was in university. But I was more or less a man of my own. You know, it's different. It's how we were raised, and people need to respect the background of people. You see, the thing about us, the black society, is that we question everything. You know, we don't have solution for things. We question things. You know, some people probably were raised by a mother, not a mother and a father. And because of that, their background would determine their future and how they grow up. And we just need to respect them for who they're becoming, not for who they are, really. Because it's beyond circumstances that has carved them into that character.
But you didn't leave university because you couldn't afford the fees,
no,
right?
No, it's not about that.
You just left because you thought it was pointless.
No, I didn't think it was pointless. I thought that
you thought you'd do better with or without.
I had to make a choice.
Degree.
That's all. I had to make a choice, but that choice that I made was a decision that I had to take and find my choices later.
Okay. And many decades on, you still haven't bothered to go get a degree, and you would not do, would you?
I think I've acquired more than 35 degrees since I left. See, people think degrees are only things that you get from academia curriculum. No. There are degrees on the street, there are degrees in the corporate center, there are degrees in even the political sector.
But do you have any degree from any university?
I don't.
Currently you don't?
No.
So right now, your highest qualification, if you were filling any form, would be SSCE?
Well, if you can call it that.
You want to be president, and
yeah.
with your SSCE certificate, you think you can command people who are professors and PhDs? You think you can do that?
What did those people do? The people that have the PhDs and all the DDDs and the degrees, what did they do when we gave them the chance? See, that's the mistake about us. We are basing our future, how we're going to develop our world, on the Western regulations. We feel like we have to have a PhD. We have to have this. We have to go to Harvard. We have to go to Cambridge. Yes, I've seen quite a few of them, Omaru. What did they do?
Nothing, eh?
What did they do? I mean, Africa has the worst governance in the world. Today, if you're looking at our economy, it's crushed. If you're looking at our currency, it's depreciated. If you're looking at the balancing of the economy, there is inflation. What did all these educated, so-called educated men that have all the degrees in the world, that we jumped and voted for them, thinking that they have the degrees and they'll be able to develop humanity and society and the country? What did they do? I think you and I can witness it and we can see. So if you're asking me that I need the degree before I can make a decision for my destiny or what I can do to contribute to the country's success, then I am here to prove you wrong. Because I don't think we should
You need a degree.
that.
Will you get your children to get degrees? Will you let your children get degrees?
I am educating my children. And
up to degree level.
Look, education is a necessity.
Yet you decided to opt out of that.
Do you have degrees?
I have one.
You have one?
Yeah.
Did you do it from the computer or did you actually, was it virtual or was it?
Oh, I went to school for 4 years.
For 4 years?
Yes.
Which university?
Ghana Institute of Journalism.
Okay, so your degree is to be a journalist?
Yes, that's what I learned in.
I think it's your destiny, right? That's what you wanted.
I don't know about destiny, but yes, I wanted to be a journalist.
So now you are.
Yeah.
You want to know what I wanted to be?
What? I wanted to be a pilot. But then mathematics was scary, so I decided
so you
to
decided.
So
okay.
Yeah. What did you want to become?
I just wanted to be one of the greatest people in this world. I wanted to leave a legacy. I wanted to make sure that by the time I leave this world, I've impacted so many people's lives.
And there's no degree in that.
There wasn't.
Yeah,
I
but
couldn't find it.
Just on your children. So you would make sure your children get degrees.
I am giving them education now.
But so how do you marry the two? That their father was rebellious against education, thinks that education is not the end to everything. I mean, there are people who say Bill Gates didn't have all those things.
I am not rebellious.
No, you rebelled.
Let me correct you.
Okay.
I am not rebellious to education.
What are you?
I just said that I did not acquire a degree.
Because you opted out. That's rebellion.
But I'm not rebelling against it.
Your mates were in school with you.
It is my decision.
Yes, that's rebellion.
In life.
You rebelled.
I had to, let's not get too much grammatical if we have to show expression.
Yes.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is that education is important. But it's not only university education, it's what you need to acquire.
Yeah, but so you see this statement you just made, you should stick to it and say, because of that, I'm going to teach my children about Kunta Kinte. I'm going to teach them about Sumanguru and Sundiata and say to them that, listen, you don't, if they said they would not go to school, you're not going to force them, right?
No, listen, as a father, I am responsible for my child, or for my children. Now, if I am raising my children with my wife and my kids under the roof, it's my rules, it's my conditions. It's how I carve my son. Okay, I already told you that when I was growing, I was the man and the boy for myself. I was in England and I made that choice. So it doesn't mean that I should force my son to walk on the same route like our fathers did to us. I'm a lawyer, so you become a lawyer. I'm a journalist, so you become a journalist. That is the Ghanaian mentality. Okay. Well, I don't believe in that.
Where were you born, Ghana or UK?
I was born here.
You were born in Ghana, in Kumasi?
Yes, I'm an Ashanti.
Where did you grow up? Which town?
Asokwa, and then I grew up also in Accra, then I grew up in England. So I've grown up in Sweden.
It's interesting you bring Asokwa, so I want us to test a few things, clear a few things. There are many people who write on social media and say cheddar is a joke. And the reason is that cheddar says, Odi Epunu Eba Kumasi. Did you really say that? And what did you mean when you said you were taking the sea to Kumasi, if you said that?
Well, first of all, I mean, people have the right to describe you, to define you, to insult you when you take decisions like this. My only problem is that the people who are saying that better be intelligent enough to do better than who they're trying to bring down. Now, talking about the sea coming to Kumasi and everything, you know, I think that there are a lot of learners in this country.
But did you say that? You said that?
Yes, I said it, okay. and I'm giving you your explanation.
Please go ahead.
You want. Okay, there are a lot of people that have acquired degrees, including yourself. And a lot of people have traveled, and even if they have it, because the biggest side, I mean, the biggest part of our population is the youth. I think that they're also enlightened to see that if you were to pick 50 best cities in the world today, press one button after one after one, all the 50 is developed around water. All of them. England, London, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, Dubai, you name it, Florence. It's all water. Water is life. It gives irrigation. It gives a lot of things.
Except seawater doesn't give irrigation.
No, please. Let me finish.
Continue.
Okay? Let me finish. You kind of remind me of your mate in city. What's his name? Ben. Is that?
That's my boss.
That's your boss. Okay, so you guys, like, you ask the questions. We have an hour. You've asked me if you want to say that C doesn't give irrigation. C is for transportation.
Yes.
It's part of the reasons why it's needed. It connects the world. Rivers, lagoons, it connects the regions. So you dredge them. As you see in England, there are canals, there are ferries in the Woolwich areas. What do you think it's for? It helps. It brings some sort of connection within the communities and the development of these areas. Now, let's take a place like Tamale. And you are Fulani, so you can see the heat there. Okay? If we're able to connect any water bodies in those areas, that weather will calm down. Because whenever the sun heats up, he has nowhere to go, so he stays on the flat land. And now when the wind is blowing, there's heat in it. It's the same thing in Burkina.
Are you sure?
Yes, you can check yourself.
I have been to Dubai. I was very close to the sea. That temperature was burning my brains.
But Dubai is a desert. That's what happens. So the only thing, please.
So the northern part of the country is getting closer to the desert zones. Are you saying that if we put a river in Tamale, the heat will go down?
It calms it down.
Okay.
How do you survive in Dubai?
No, but let's look at the practicalities of sending the sea. Did you mean that literally, that you send the sea to Kumasi?
It's dredging.
Okay,
it's
so what's your plan?
Well, you can
paint a picture for me.
You can just simply listen, guys.
No, not what you can. What would you do?
I don't need to break it all down for you.
No, give me the general picture.
Yes. Okay. There's River Pra. Okay. River Pra goes all the way into the sea in Cape Coast. Yes. And it goes all the way to Kumasi. There's River Tano. River Tano goes all the way to Takoradi, Elibo. It joins the Ivory Coast and everything. When you go to Ivory Coast, there is the sea and there's a big dredge that they brought the water into a river body. And it's in the middle of the city. These things are possible. I'm coming. It's everywhere in the world. Since Ghanaians are claiming to be well educated with degrees and all of that, I will urge Ghanaians, kindly start to do your research. Look at these things. Look at a place like Manchester and look at Liverpool. The reason why they have football teams today, they were fighting about connecting a water that brought ships into that area. So they started industrialization. Now, when I'm talking about this, I am talking about the biggest visions that will change this nation. It's taking Ghanaians 100 years for them not to think of what to do with their water.
No problem.
I'm coming, please. What do they do with their water? What do you say? Any water in Ghana, what did they do with it? I've seen people carry stuff on their head and go and throw it in the sea, and then the next day their children go and bath in it. That makes a lot of sense for people who have degrees and want to build their country. We need to use our water for transportation. We need to use it for irrigation. We need to open the water.
Let me just press you on that. So River Tano is one river you may use, or River Pra. That's what you plan to use. So what, you dry it up and then pump
seawater? You don't dry it up, please. Listen.
You pump the sea into...
Omar, I will make it very easy for you, because you're a sharp young man who have a degree. So when you go home, kindly Google about dredging and countries that they've done that. I'm coming.
I know what dredging is.
Oh yes, if you do.
So you dredge the River Pra, and then do what?
I'm coming. If you Google, you're going to get all the answers that you're trying to get here, since we only have 1 hour and there's more we have to talk about. I'm coming. You are going to get all of it. When you start to dredge, join water, you join rivers, lakes, sea, all of that is there. And it's been happening since the 15th, some are even before that. It's not today that there is dredging or connecting water.
Okay. So the River Pra or River Tunnel flows into the sea.
Yeah.
It's constantly flowing. So let's even use Volta River, which is what many people know about. So it's flowing into the sea at Adan. Are you saying that you're going to create an access so that the sea instead of flows into the river? What happens to the river that is flowing downstream? What happens to that water, which is fresh water? Don't forget, the sea is not fresh water. How are you going to have fresh water move out of its original path of flow for seawater to flow upwards? Gravity will not even allow that to happen, so that the sea is down south. That's why the water flows from the north down south. You are saying that you're going to push the sea back up all the way to Kumasi.
I didn't say you're going to push the sea.
How
Nobody goes into the sea to push it up.
You said you send the sea to Kumasi.
No.
Unless you meant
said I would dredge. Listen.
So what, you're
talking about gravity.
Gutter?
Listen, you're talking about gravity. You're talking about longitude. Here,
yes.
Okay.
I'm talking about slopes.
Yes, slopes. That's what I said, longitude. So when you know that there is a dam and is meeting the sea, the sea's wave is stronger than the river wave. If I dredge the river further down, push it down, the sea would automatically push into it. Now, if I want to put irrigation systems and filtration systems for other sources, I would be able to do it in this world.
And you're going to take this all the way to Kumasi?
No. Come, relax. In this world, there's so many things people are doing with the sea and doing with the river.
I know. I've seen the Palm Jumeirah.
That is the same.
Have you seen the cost of what?
What are you people worrying about cost for?
Because I know how much we are worth as a country. There's something called GDP. Our GDP doesn't sustain that.
Don't worry about that. If they couldn't do it and someone is willing to do it, why are you questioning them? You see, it's not how much money you have that can do or fulfill your dreams. It's how much brains and wisdom you apply to
Have
what
you spoken
have.
to any engineer who told you that this is possible?
Well, you know what? Have you ever done any project that you had to put maybe 16 people from all over the world, supervise it and build it yourself? Have you done anything like that?
Yes or no? Have you?
No.
Have
you asked me a question. I'm coming.
I haven't. I haven't done that.
Okay, so
to answer your question, have you spoken to any engineer who told you that that's possible?
So to answer your question, I am someone that have dealt with architects, engineers. I've done development. I've built most grounds for industrial, for development.
That one,
please relax.
There's a template.
Why
do you have a template for someone digging up or dredging up and sending the sea to a place that the sea doesn't go to? Do you have a template?
Well, if you're not going to let me explain myself and you're going to keep going on like your boss,
please explain yourself.
And I think I'll let you speak.
Please explain yourself.
Oh yeah. So I am saying to you that it's not my first time of doing projects. Projects, it's about hiring architects, engineers, doing feasibilities, doing research, acquiring machines, and the things that gets it done. That is how it's done.
Very well.
Okay? So I have to use that process. It's the same process that the Japanese used, the same process that Singaporeans use, the same process is what Dubai is using. So we Ghanaians can use the same process. Now you're talking about the money to do it. And that is also another thing. Well, maybe the problem we're having with our discussion or conversation, which is becoming an interrogation, is that you're not letting me explain to you even how I would implement my own ideas. Okay. But you're trying to tell me that it's either impossible or I don't know how to do it, or the sea is up and the river is here, so how are you going to do it? Let's have a conversation, gentlemen.
This is Face to Face on City TV. My name is Umaru Sandamadu. My guest is Nana Kwame Badiako, also known as Cheddar. He is a leader of a group known as New Force. He plans to be president of the Republic. He's my guest on Face to Face. Just talking about a few things around some of the promises he's made and the statements he made. When we come back, I'll engage him further on that, plus his policies for Ghana. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. This is Face to Face. My name is Umaru Sandamadu. My guest is Nana Kwame Badiako. I like to call him Cheddar. I've told him that that's a name from my language. He doesn't agree, but we will not split heads over this. Let's go back to Cheddar, or Chede, which is money. When you spoke to Bernard, my colleague, you spoke about making your first £1 million from scraps. That's something that people dragged you on social media for a long time. I mean, scrap, was it gold scraps?
I wouldn't really want to answer these questions because you know what? I think all the people who are interviewing me are just going around the same thing. I want us to make more sense in our interview. When someone is standing for president, there is economy. There are things that we can talk about.
Yeah, you spoke about economy with Bernard.
I'm coming. Everybody seems to want to talk about my life and try to get a headline. Look, I think they've tried. A lot of people have tried to make their headlines, the media twisting and all of that. But one thing that Ghanaians and even the media platforms and young people who are sitting in front of me is that if we're talking about degrees here and it's about achievements and what people should do in life, I have acquired a lot of that.
Great.
And if you're talking about knowledge and wisdom, I am blessed with a lot of that and grace. So there's so many times, like I can really put people where they deserve to be when they're trying to, you know, go around and everything. Yes, I gave you a shot with Tiger, I gave you a shot this, that, but you're going back and forth. Let's go straight into the discussion.
Okay.
I am here to have an interview with you.
Yeah.
My interview with you is for us to talk about the future of this country, not the past of Nana Kwame Badiako. It does not educate people who are listening to us. And I think that, let me use this opportunity, Umaru, to tell you something. Maybe they can learn from this moment that you and I are together having this interview, that Ghanaians are not having positive interviews, that they can tap into like the best part of our people. When you meet people, let the people see what is in their head, what is in their body, what their soul is bringing and yielding out. And people could learn from that. The teasings, the jokes, the this, the that, a joker, this, that, see this and that, it's all irrelevant. Ghana is going through a lot at the moment. We have close to 80% jobless people.
Yeah.
Okay? 15% that are working are more or less slaves for multinational platforms. We need to build our own platforms, our own industrial platforms, create our own entrepreneurs. We're here sitting down, busy, talking about politics when politicians themselves have become the private sector, and then using the private sector people to become contractors, so they just give them contract. You ask me a question and name one person in Ghana that can become a multi-millionaire or a billionaire without the government.
Okay, Nana, the reason that I have to ask you the question I ask you and why journalists ask you is that you can't build nothing, or you can't build something on nothing. We need to know what your foundation is, what your background is.
It is there. Look, it is
just,
there,
just, you landed.
there.
No, you landed. So can I also make my point? If we do not know what you are made of, there's no point voting for you. We need to know that this is your track record. This is what you have done. You have said A, B, C, D. We have to hold you to your words. If you said that you are dredging the sea and sending it to Kumasi, as a journalist, I'm duty bound to ask you. And I'm asking you on behalf of the people who you want to vote for you. If you said to me that you made £1 million pounds out of scraps in the United Kingdom at age 19, that will raise eyebrows, and I ought to ask you how you made it.
It doesn't raise eyebrows.
No, the reason I'll ask you...
It doesn't raise eyebrows when a musician makes 2 million.
Let me land with... The musician goes on stage and sings, and we see what he does. You were not a musician. You said you were doing scraps. It's true. We want to know so that someone who wants to learn from you would be inspired to know the path, show us the way. Second, we need to question your source of wealth. It's very important that we know that before you become our president, if you ever became our president.
Well, let me just answer your question for you right now. Umaru, first of all, if anybody wants to find out how I acquired my wealth before even 21, it's on the internet. There's so much research they can do.
That's the internet. You are here with me. Speak to me.
Please. If somebody wants to find out my income today, it is all there. You know, I have built hotels. I've done all of that. It's all there. It's bringing me income. It's yielding. I'm creating employment. But the thing that I'm saying is that journalists should stop wasting my time asking me the same questions over and over again. None of you even have the guts and the ask any sitting president or ex-president these questions like, where did you get the money from to do your campaign? And you are a president, so you're not supposed to have wealth. None of you. But when you have your age group or someone younger than you, and then you guys are trying to make a mimic or take a joke out of this, how many times have I answered this question? How many times? How many times have you even heard, like as if you didn't know that I've said it already? How many times, Umaru? So that's my point. My point is, you guys, as journalists, need to sit down and say, look, I'm going to meet Cheddar. This guy, well, if he's not intelligent, maybe he's smart. If he's not smart, maybe he's an achiever or doer. He's not just a talker. Let me get some good questions so I can ask this man. Then we can find out more about him. But you're asking me questions that almost 100 journalists have asked me. So
And
I asked myself.
The reason is that you haven't answered.
Because I have.
Convincingly.
Well, I have. I don't
and
know
so
what.
it is important that we ask you until we get the answers. And we're asking you on
how,
behalf of the
again,
people you want to vote for you.
I don't know how, again, you guys want me to show you how exactly money is made. That is the laziness of some of the people in this country. They're asking me for a template. That how exactly, you know, how do you think I build a building? How do you think, wait, how do you think? That is investment and development. But you're still asking me source of funds. How would I use 4 years to do a development, bring architects, engineers, pay them systematically, monthly, yearly, to see everything coming up in steps? When I finish, you still ask me, how did you make your money? No. How are you making money out of
No, we're not asking you.
What is the sense in this?
We're not asking you about how you put up a building, which goes, we know the systems to put up a building. But when we ask you at age 19 as a university dropout, how you made £1 million, that is a question that we should ask you, and that's a question you should answer, because you are not the only 19-year-old in this country, so how come you're the only one? And that is why it's a story, and that's why we're asking you. Again, you're the only one who at age 19 got £1 million and want to be president.
First of all,
if you didn't want to be president, nobody would have bothered you.
First of all, get your facts right. It says that at the age of 21, not 19.
Fine, 2 year difference.
And wait, 2 years difference, it's not the 2 years difference. It's you as a journalist trying to be factful and you don't even have your facts. So I want you to move on to maybe some better question. Ghanaians can choose to say whatever they want to say.
Let me ask you a better question. How much do you pay in taxes annually? Is that a better question?
Well, you know what? If this meeting or this interview is about interrogation, about figures and all of that, please, then what is the point of you calling me? Because we definitely had a discussion. You asked me that what are the things that we need to talk about. I talked about my fund, Save Ghana Fund. I talked about the
petition to the EC.
The petition.
It's all part
all of these things.
It's part of the.
You are here interrogating me about. Please leave that one for the commissioner. Leave all of these things.
For GRA.
I didn't know that you people are playing the roles of all these people.
Actually,
Ghanaian journalists should be trained. You know, when you look at
please don't educate me on journalism.
Oh, but I think so. I think you guys should be trained.
I have practiced this
because you need to go international.
No, you
need to go international, and you need to be seen there. Like I'm here, and I know about Oprah. She's one of my favorite, presenters.
No problem.
And I think they ask random questions, normal questions. They don't interrogate people. They have conversations with them. Okay, but when it comes to Ghanaian journalists, all of you are looking for headlines. You're trying to act like, oh, yes, this, that, and then, okay, he said this, so is this. No.
So you think
I've come to you.
You think asking you about your taxes is wrong? You think Oprah wouldn't ask you about your taxes?
If you want to ask me about taxes, hey, I heard you don't pay taxes. Is that true? But you coming to ask me, how much do you pay a year for your taxes? It's more of a duty of the person who is supposed to interrogate me that has the right.
I don't like when you use the word interrogate. So
far
it's been a conversation.
It's not. This is not a conversation. If it's a conversation, we will have it.
That's what we're having. It's a nice conversation.
You're interrogating me, so I'm asking you.
We even have a cup of tea here. That's interrogation.
This is a cup of tea.
Yes.
And I am not going to be your cup of tea. So let's concentrate on the cup of tea and have a conversation. Okay?
Let me go to another aspect. Let's talk about politics. The spokesperson you had was Belgian, and I saw you quoted somewhere saying that you didn't get any Ghanaians were afraid to be your spokesperson. That's why you had to choose a Belgian. She has since been deported. Since then, have you got a new spokesperson?
I don't really. I'm working on new spokespeople.
Okay.
But let me also use this moment to clarify this. The new force is a movement, and the new force is not a political party. Therefore, we can choose white, black, blue, whatever.
So you don't want to have the party structures like we know them.
I'm coming. It's just that it's bad for Ghanaians to realize, oh no, we made a mistake. We should have looked into it first before we accused him. If I had a political party and I had a foreigner as a spokesperson, then maybe it looks bad, even though it's not 100% illegal. but then it looks bad. But it was just a movement. So, and I personally think that, you know, that was human rights right there. You know, for a country, we should protect our reputation for humanity. And once we break the rules of, or there is human rights violation, it doesn't just hit the government, it hits the nation. Then we start to look like Ghanaians are either racist or we are this or that. For me, I think that she was just doing the job that she volunteered for. And I think she was very skillful for what she did. You know, as for how she was treated by the government and Ghanaians, I'll leave that.
Okay. Let's talk about campaign financing. There are so many of your billboards in town. In fact, wherever you go to in this country, and not wherever, but I mean that in a general sense of where there are billboards of Cheddar wanting to be president. That's a lot of promotion. Campaign financing, how much are those billboards costing you?
Again, you are into figures, asking me how much this, that. All of that, I don't need to sit here to tell you how much I invested.
No, you're not telling me, you're telling Ghanaians.
Oh, fine, I don't need to tell Ghanaians that this is how much I have invested in my campaign. But I also don't need to respond to you how much I have invested in my campaign when you had the chance to ask some of the presidents or ex-presidents. You could not ask this question, that where did you get the money to do your campaign? Or you asking me, the businessman who have decided to go into leadership, you're asking me to tell you exactly how much my billboard cost me. I think, again, and it's not like I'm not liking your questions, I just feel like it's not for this interview, because if you ask anybody, it's more of interrogation, or if after this interview, if you sit down and watch, you are going to see that, yes, you were interrogating me. I'm not the type to be interrogated. I like to see the young people of today, that they should grab that, you know, courage that I have to be able to stick my neck out and say, I'm going to stand for this. Yes, of course, I know I will be attacked, I will be sabotaged, a lot of whatever, but I'm still going ahead because I stand for the youth, and I believe that I have something that will make this country a better country and develop people in a better way. But to end what I'm saying, I think that I would be so proud to see you one day ask either the president, the sitting, or the ex-president the kind of questions you're asking.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
this is Omar Sanda you're speaking with. If any of them sat in front of me, this is the same way I'll ask my question. So you're not going to tell us how much it's costing you to be president. You don't want us to know.
I don't think, that's why I've given Ghanaians the chance to, first of all, invest in the Save Ghana Fund. And then the investment.
That's actually what I was going to come to. So well, you don't want to tell us how much.
We've gotten in there now.
No, so just a second. You see why it's important that you answer. There's something called accountability in campaign financing.
But that is what I'm also going to tell you.
Let me land. Campaign financing accountability. You are asking people to donate to your cause so you become president. We saw Obama execute that beautifully in 2008. Yet you don't want to tell us how much you have spent. Are you going to tell us how much you receive from Ghanaians when they send you?
So first of all, and that's why I think that, you know, maybe if this is your style of interviewing, like, you know, you just come, you know, let's get in the ring properly. So first of all, it's clearly said that everything you put in this fund is visible and is transparent. Okay, so you see the money there. Why did I, first of all, initiate that idea? Because I'm trying to change the narrative of politics in this country. That everybody goes to the people and give them money and said, go and vote for me. I am the first leader in this country who have set up a fund and saying to the people, invest in me. I don't mind whether it's 1 cedi or 2 cedi, but when you do, you are going to see the money and what it will be used for. So I've already clearly said that and given the chance and opportunity for us to share this opportunity to use our own investment to put leaders in place. That is happening, okay? 1. 2, if I get or I make this become successful, is the chance for me to show Ghanaians how responsible I am and how accountable I am. But that is their funds that they've put in me. If Ghanaians want to ask me for my own funds then I have my own rights. I don't have to disclose it to anyone.
Okay.
The people in Ghana don't go around disclosing their funds to people for what they do. But if they do put the money, do you understand what I'm saying, Umaru?
Yes, but I don't agree.
Well, you might not agree because I don't have the right to come and ask you what you do with your salary and how you use it.
I'm not running for president.
What I'm saying that, well, me running for president,
that's the difference.
No, but it doesn't.
You're going into public office. I'll be paying for your everything that you're going to be using in life.
At the moment,
so I need to know who
I
you
am
are.
an aspirant candidate. Well, I don't even have a party for me to belong to an EC or a constitution in this country. I'm a movement. I'm a movement from the private sector who is put his own funds.
Who must be questioned immediately he decides to go into public office.
You can't question
yes,
me. But
so that's why I'm questioning you.
Well, you can't question me, but you should leave it for those who have that metropolitan or that judicial right to ask me some of the questions. That question
it's not everything that has to be asked in the courts.
Well, it's not.
Some things are asked in the public opinion
and it's
courts.
not everything that have to be answered.
So you're not going to answer that.
Well,
how much have you raised so far from the public funds? That
it's there. If you Google it, you see.
Oh, I mean, do you want to share it with my
Well,
viewers?
I just think that it's very transparent. So I don't know as of now because every time you go on there to vote, you see.
How can someone
to donate?
How can someone donate to your campaign?
Oh, you just you either go on the website or you dial *284 hash new force and then you know.
Is there a minimum I can pay?
Even if it's 0.10, 0.1
You're receiving everything.
People have donated that, and I think this is great because we're changing the narrative of politics. We're making people start to think that. Why is this young man taking us through this route? But if also they don't donate, I will still have to find a way to be successful with my campaign and be able to also let Ghanaians know that the reason why I didn't have to go to people to give me funding, because if I ever have to be president, I don't want to say I owe people favors. So I govern the nation by the favors that I owe people. I want to govern this nation because this nation has formed a government, become a government body, and have put me in a position. So therefore, I have to serve them. And that's why I put out the donation process. I want them for the first time not to take money and use their time to vote people, because that's like selling your soul, to leadership. To politicians. I want us to change the narrative. And the only way to do that is to start with the youth of today, which is by far the biggest size of the population in this country. If they're able to implement that, there's going to be a change. And the ones who are coming after will follow that. So me initiating some of these funds and all of that, this is the reason. I am giving the nation a chance to be able to see the scale of my responsibility and the loyalty behind my accountability.
So these are not desperately needed funds. You don't desperately need funds from Ghanaians. You're just doing it so that symbolically you want people to know that, hey, it has to be two-way, it shouldn't be one way.
There's no such thing as desperate. We are not desperate people here. Okay, I think Ghanaians are very peaceful. We're kind, we're jealous, and we're peaceful. I don't see a sign of desperation. In fact, our culture doesn't make us as aggressive as other people, but we survive. We're in a surviving mode. I just think that it is the right way because everybody else was going the other way by going to people rather and putting money in them and say, take the money and go and vote for me. But when I look at the Western world, they're not doing that. And that's the same democracy we're practicing.
Okay.
So how come we are completely different from the Western world? And it's not like I'm copying them, but I think what they're doing makes more sense. Donald Trump is a billionaire. But when he had to campaign, he went to the public. And he wanted the public to invest in him.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
And he helped.
Yeah.
And so he could have just used his billions to say, okay, I have money, so I'm going to do the campaign myself. Yeah. In my case, it's the same thing that I'm appealing to the nation that, look, if you can help me do this, I would be accountable for it.
Okay.
Whilst we're campaigning, which is 275, we're about to do 275 constitutions that we're going to go through. That's going to cost me a lot of money.
Very well.
I've done a lot of investment, but I also realized when I was doing the 16 regional listening tour, I realized that people are suffering. And some of the things is just 30 or 50,000 and people can have water to drink.
Can solve
you
that
know,
problem.
some of the things is 100,000 cedis and they can have a processing plant to do something. So, you know, we want to do that. We want to be able to take thousands of bicycles, give it to some people. We want to be able to give some people credit, you know, so they can have they can make calls. They can, you know, it's very difficult in the areas that we've visited. And I think we're in Accra, so we might not see the country in a whole, but we really need to help ourselves, and we need to activate the rest of the regions that is not active.
You have penned a petition relating to our electoral matters. When we come back, I'll talk about that. This face-to-face on City TV. My name is Omar Sanda, but my guest is Nana Kwame Badiako, who wants to be president, popularly known as Cheddar. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. This is Face to Face on City TV. You have penned a petition about our election matters. What's your matter? What's the issue?
Well, it's very simple. I think that, you know, since I'm going into leadership, it is very important that I learn about the industry, not only in Ghana, but worldwide. And I realized that, you know, in 2016, we had 26,000 polling centers. And out of that 26,000 polling centers, it was also open for registration. So people had 26,000 spaces to register. Some of them have to walk half a kilometer just to register. Okay, now in 2020, they increased it from 26,000 to 33,000. And 33,000, it's maybe 7,000 more slots or spaces was added to it before they were able to register the people who were coming in. And 2024, funny, and for some reasons, they closed all these registration places and turned it to 258 of offices that belongs to EC. And then they have like 2 or 3 tables as constituencies. So in total, they're saying that they have only 1,068 for registration, which amounts to only 3% of what has happened in the past 4 years and 3 years. But here's the catch, right? I asked myself, why have they restricted everyone? Then I looked at the days. It said 7th to 27th. That's 20 days. So I checked England, I checked America, I checked Nigeria, I checked the world. But everybody is a year, and they only close maybe a week or a month before election, because they need the time for people to register and to educate them about democratic rights. So they need to understand that their voting rights is what determines the future of the country and the leadership of the country. So that is the very important part.
So they should open up and allow more time.
I want to just land, okay? So I realized that why have they closed all the slots? Why is it not like before? And then when I added the days, I realized that no, this is not right. It's not impossible, because here's the calculation I did. All right, so you have 1,068, okay? That 1,068, I personally went to some of the registration places. It takes between 15 minutes to 20 minutes to register one person, meaning that in an hour, we have 3 or 4 people being registered, okay? When you times that by the 1,068, in a day, you're registering between maybe times 8 hours, basically. You're registering maybe between 26,000 to between 18,000 to 26,000. That's if everything works perfectly. Now, when you do the 18,000 numbers and multiply it by the 20 days, you can't go more than 172,000. That is the capacity to do the voting. So I started to question myself, why? What are they restricting? And guess what I found out? So in 2020, there were people that turned 18. 2021, they became 19. 2022, they became 20. 2023, 21, 2024, they're 22. Out of these years that I'm talking about, you've had millions of kids within the 4 years that have come into the system who are eligible to vote. Why are we restricting them? Why are we stopping them? Why are we going to close the borders and let them struggle all the way for another 4 years till they get to 23 before we start educating them about our democratic rules that constipates the country's regulation and its constitution?
The EC has targeted 600,000 within 21 days, and so far they've done over 500,000. Do you know, based on all the analysis you've done, that the number is supposed to be more than 600,000?
Well, You can check yourself.
No, have you checked?
Well, I have.
And it's supposed to be more than 600,000?
I have. So
how many people do you estimate should be registered who are going to be disenfranchised?
1 minute. So, first of all...
No, do you have a figure you're working with?
I won't be able to give you the exact figure.
Can you give it to me?
No, I won't. I won't be able to.
But you see, the EC works with numbers, and they say this is how many people,
works with numbers.
Based on the Ghana Statistical Service data, this is how many people they expect to register. You don't agree, so do you have a contrary number?
Well, I have a rough estimate.
And what's that estimate?
And I have an estimation. I've given it to you.
So it should be more than 600,000. What should be millions? How many millions?
Millions. You know what? So let me give you the statistics.
2 or 3 millions?
No, please relax. Are you
I'm
trying
fine.
to?
I'm fine.
Relax.
So 600,000 is what the EC says.
This is
you
what
are
the
saying
EC
millions.
have said.
So you're saying
don't
millions.
I have the right to say what I'm saying?
No. If your rights are not based on facts, then it's pointless, right?
Okay, fine. So I'm giving
when you
you
say
my
millions,
facts.
how many millions?
What I'm giving you my facts, and if
Yeah,
you
so
can take
a
your
number.
time and listen.
No, just mention a
listen,
number.
I am not an institution like the EC that can just give you a number, take it or leave it. 20 days and 253. Register it. It's going to be 623,000.
Okay.
It's going to take the youth to sit there and say, okay, it's fine now.
Okay.
They've said it, so we agree with that.
We need to go, but I have a very important question I need to ask you about.
I still want us to talk about the EC because I think it's the most important thing.
No, you've made your point. But the petition is out there, so...
The petition is out there.
Yeah,
but you have just tried to end the question by saying that what the EC is saying is final. Because they are the ones that. That's what you just
I'm
said.
saying that if you, to the extent that you do not have a contrary figure, I don't know what we should debate about.
But I did have an estimate.
You just said millions, and I'm wondering how many millions.
I just have an estimate. Okay?
And the estimate is millions. Millions is vague.
No, statistically, 74.9% of this country right now is 0 to 45 years. Okay? That is 3/3 of this country. Okay? If we don't get these people to register and educate them about their votes, and we close them, that is one. They are not going to understand, and we're not going to have the right numbers for election. That is one. Two, do you know that in this whole country, everyone that have voted before, except if you have registered in 2020, your voting registration card does not exist. So even if you haven't done that, you cannot vote.
Okay.
Are we being educated about it?
No
is it out there? Do you know about it?
Yes, they are doing education.
They're doing education about it?
They are. Yeah, they are. I have a question for you. You are a real estate guru. You've heard of Saglimi housing. If you were president, what would you do to Saglimi housing?
Well, I would have probably continued wherever it was left off. I mean, Cloconus, Andrew, may his soul rest in peace. He died, and we don't know the source of his death. But this young man studied about pre-engineered homes in Vienna. I remember he told me his story before. And he's half Brazilian, half Ghanaian. He studied over 8 years. He could have used that technology to go to Brazil, but he brought it to Ghana. And he brought some contractors, OAS, with him. And they started a project. They did 1,500 homes. For some reason, it was in a different regime of politics. When the next regime came to power, they refused to touch it. So it was there, and it started, growing weeds. Okay, so I think that for me as a leader, I don't see why, if I started something or if someone else started something that is positive, because we don't belong together in the same party, it should be deserted. This development should be for the nations. It shouldn't be for the parties.
They plan to give it to private person to continue. Is that something you would agree
I am not
with?
interested. I'm not interested in something that they have watched it grow weeds and people have died over and they haven't turned it out to be anything. I'm not going to carry that burden. Right now, you know what I'm interested in? I'm interested in securing millions of jobs for the people in this country who cannot work and have the daily average income to survive.
Okay.
I'm interested in developing this nation because I've developed some for myself, and I've realized that it's not good to be wealthy alone and surrounded by poor people. This is my interest. My interest is now to develop a nation. My interest is to build a country. My interest is to add value to society. My interest is not go into any political something that has been left over years and is destroyed, and I should go and do the hard work of something that could be easily resolved. I don't have interest in that.
Nana,
awusana Nana Kwame Badiako asanso akasadim, and of course okasadia wankasa wonu tiase eyinkranhyesem nyensasem kwanya Ghana fo ebefa so a yebetimi apesika na yakora sika no na yetimi adi sika ni yie a yede sika no bebo omawe hu bra ye hu ebeto yen and Nana Kwame Badiako bi obegina bia onya kwanya no na so one Ghana fo nyina enya engagement no omo ekasa nko ade a enso woka ede hye youth no ema ehye youth no enkran ye pa de bia obi apese wote Nana Kwame Badiako enka wei mu bi ene ensema Nana Kwame Badiako 276 store no so kobia aya na opu edeto ho no Ghana fo nyina oja eto oman ni mu wohwe MPP ni NDC a omodwuma di a omo edi na Nana Kwame Badiako touch down pre na youth no ne mrafo nyina omapu edi na chi ye sanen samrane Ghana Jesus the youth president eni dia kese ebo edefa no ho nyina no enti mo amotenchen ya ye se mo se Nana Kwame Badiako edi entro mo kan edefa no ho nyina no ye de ye se yenti yu ono a na ye beto aba no edi ama no waja se abusua oni me eya adwuna afa wadwunche ne ema me o comment section honom we na wa like na wasanso a share edi ama obibia na obianso ensa akabi King James edit and abomachidom the name still remain Kobe best until then me sanu mo besenso edi ehia biem macro